very distinguished speakers on the dais, friends, so my session was on smart infrastructure, but then I thought that this was the more relevant session where one could contribute. I will share with you three basic things. Firstly, I will share with you the vision of CCTNS. This criminal tracking and network system, it was conceived in 2008. That time, I was the Joint Secretary concerned who was handling this desk. It's called CS Division in MHA. Now, the basic idea was to connect about 16,000 police stations all across the country and the 6,000 higher offices. That means the office of the DSP, the SP, the SSP, the DIG, the IG, ADG, then Home Department, both at the state level as well as at the central level. Secondly, we wanted that every citizen could approach police using some kind of electronic media. It could be email, it could be a cell phone. Once you put up your complaint, rather you put in your complaint to the system, that complaint would be gone through and based on the facts, it could be converted into a FIR. So that was the system. And ultimately, a very big database was to be created in terms of the crimes which are happening across various police stations, the mode of committing that crime, the modus operandi, the vehicles used in crime, any firearms used in the crime, all that big database was to be created. And then based on the analysis of the consolidated data, both at the state level as well as metadata at the central level, you could solve a large number of crimes which are happening across districts or across thanas, across states. So that is the basic objective. Now I am told that the system has become operational in many states, but many states are still struggling with setting up the infrastructure, setting up the systems, things like that. Now, along with this, we started another concept called Safe City Project. That project was again started way back 2010, 2011, wherein we said that along with this data which pertains to FIRs, we will also collect real-time data about the city activities. This was about traffic. This was about monitoring of important public places where you had big footfall. It was about any other kind of disruptive information which could be available across the city. And then take this information, process it together in a control room, and based on the outcome, you initiate a number of decisions. So that time we analyzed the cost which was involved in just making Delhi a smart city that way. And this cost worked out between 3,000 crores to 5,000 crores that time. It required very large number of cameras, a very large network, and very large data center, very large data analysis capability. All that was required. So ultimately we selected 5-6 cities and we wanted to move forward. But even that time the government was not able to decide as to how they move forward, how they bring in the private partner. So that exercise, I'm told, is still going on, but still something is being done on this Safe City initiative. Now coming back to the FIRs, let me share with you, in India, in 1 year, more than 75 lakh FIRs are registered. And it involves arrest of about 1 crore of people, 96 lakh to be precise. And out of those 96 lakhs, about 95% they are released on bail. So at any point in time, about 4 lakh people are in the jail. 4 lakh log hote hain jail mein. So that's the capacity which we have. Now I was thinking about the connection between the smart city and the safety of citizens. Now, smart city, as all of you know, its basic origin is to embed sensors across all components of city infrastructure, then collect information from those sensors, and based on the information available, you take decisions, informed decisions. And these decisions are then implemented through actuators. So that is, in short, what we are doing in smart cities. Now, here, if you want to make a city smart, you need to embed a very large number of sensors in the city infrastructure. That was becoming a big problem. That's a huge cost. You'll have to redo most of the infrastructure. So one of the via media which we are thinking about is to use smartphones as a sort of moving sensors. In India, now today we have more than 950 million phones which are actually working. And out of these 950 million phones, 12% are smartphones. So that means about 100 million phones are smartphones. And these smartphones can measure a number of parameters. If you think of it, smartphones are basically, I'll call them 100 million cameras which are moving around in the city. And if we can somehow tap this particular capability of the smartphone along with the other capability of the smartphone of sensing temperature, vibrations, noise, all that. In that case, we'll get big advantage of saving huge cost on the infrastructure of sensors. I'll give you an example. Take for example that in a particular area, you know it's a very sensitive area, and you write a program and you count the number of connections in a particular place in that area. You know if the city is peaceful, you have so many connections in this particular area. So that's the normal density phones. Suddenly you see that density of phone in two particular areas is going up. It's much, much beyond the normal limit. And then you start analyzing the names of people who are owning those phone connections. And suddenly you realize that, all right, now this is some kind of a polarization which is happening. So you will know much in advance as to what is happening. And you will take action accordingly. You will get a lot of time to react. So those are the kind of applications we are talking about. Now, another thing which I want to flag here is that with smart city in place, these security risks are going to go up. Security risks are also very, very huge. Because ultimately, data going from sensors to a centralized place, getting processed, and then actuators working on the basis of the input getting from this data, which you get from this data, has a lot of potential of mischief as well. So one has to really think about all kind of implications, security implications of smart city, and take action right at the design stage to tackle these difficulties. Now, though I have a very big presentation on safety and security, I would like you people to ask questions or make suggestions so that the discussion is more lively and more interactive. So I would stop here with this intervention. In case you have any questions, I would be very happy to answer any questions. Yeah, this is some of the basic data. Nine 946 million phones, 12% out of that is smartphone. And 100 million active mobile social accounts. Now that's the basic framework which I wanted to discuss. You have technology enablers on one side, and you have all the essential services on the other side. So in smart city, this fabric works. You have to lay the layers of the technology enablers, and then on top of that, you run any kind of services, including the citizen safety services. So you have sensors embedded, and through various protocols, you collect data, and that data then controls various domains. So all kinds of sensors embedded into the city infrastructure. That's a typical architecture for smart integrated applications and services, where you have a capillary network, which is a last mile network, and then you have network backbone, you have enabling technologies, and then you have a service application layer. And this capillary network, which I was talking about, can also be served by the smartphones. So it's a typical architecture of any IoT value chain. You have data capture and connectivity, data management, business applications, and multi-service gateway network. That's the red one, which is the most important one. And there is room for every kind of player, every kind of company, whether you talk about technology company or real estate company or IT company, software company. Now this is what I was talking about, that the last mile, that is last 100 meters, it has 90% potential number of connections which are missing, which are not there. And this is where the smartphone comes very handy. And today the smartphone has replaced all these devices. Smartphone can perform all kind of functions, can collect all kind of data, can act as eyes, videos, photos, ears, vibration, direction, speed, acceleration, temperature, anything. Not only that, it can also act for crowd sensing, crowdsourcing and crowd sensing, including user characterization. So smart city as a platform. Similarly, data, you have various layers of data. This is what I was talking about. And one of the most important aspect is the security aspect. National security, then public safety, security, public health, privacy issues, IPR issues, and regulatory issues. And these are absolutely the new dimensions, new areas where there are no laws which have been written. We'll have to rewrite these laws. For example, the Google glasses. Now you can just wear Google glasses and go to places which are secured, which are public places. You can intrude into the privacy of somebody, but nobody can just file an FIR for that. Similarly, you are working with a drone. No, there are no regulations written on drones. Still not there. So you'll have to really write all those applications, all those regulations. Self-driving cars, again, you'll have to develop regulations for that. And security is extremely, extremely important aspect of it. So what Government of India has done, they have developed the detailed guidelines for security. This is the security architecture of Government of India, where number of ministries are involved in handling security. And that's the National Information Security Policy and Guidelines. 112 guidelines, 135 controls, and 182 implementation guidelines. So this is already out. So whenever you design any infrastructure for smart city, one has to follow these guidelines. So that's what I just want.